Blizzard has crushed our dreams. Santa's not real, Hammond didn't actually go to the farm, and Jeff Kaplan is never coming back. Overwatch 2 will never be a full new product. It instead is Overwatch 2.0 like I thought it should be named years ago. Even that feels kind of weak for the amount we're actually getting now. But what can Blizzard do from this position? What's the best plays they can make, given the path that they're on? What is the peak that this game can reach? What do we think they're actually capable of? Let's discuss. My first point is going to be a broad one. What I'd love to see is for them to overperform expectations. We now know that we won't be getting any of the RPG replayable aspects that were sold to us at BlizzCon. The heroes will be playing in the story missions for the new PvE, as it's called. I like to call it a campaign instead, or like campaign in parts, I think is more accurate. With so much cut out of that experience, Blizzard's in prime position for our expectations to be lower than ever. So adding a story mission in with the battle pass, while it wouldn't allure a player that only wants a full campaign, for players getting folded into the Overwatch experience, or just to have more things to do if you're a competitive multiplayer player, it could help retain players that we might lose due to boredom. I think it'll overperform expectations if we can experience this mission, limited as it might be, but have a good time with it. There's been a lot of Blizzard apologism for things like Star Watch on the internet. Oh, it's not intended to be an actual mode. It's really just PvP. I know it's said it's got PvE, but we all know it's not any good and we don't expect it to be good, so we can just ignore it. No. The new story mission better be good. It better feel like an actual game, as opposed to a very lame workshop mod with new skins. And well, how could they go about doing that? Since we know a lot of the more advanced mechanics aren't going to exist. Well, I think something that we may not see coming if we're not paying attention close enough, but you guys will. But I think there's a good chance it has a good story. The reason being is because remember, they made the decision of what the scope of Overwatch 2 was going to be before they launched the game. And one aspect of the Overwatch 2 development that they've been very proud of, and rightfully so, is the massive amounts of voice line interactions between the characters in the pre-game lobby and based on very specific in-game interactions. I think we take that for granted now, 6 months down the line, but that has been a massive improvement. Maybe doesn't enough to deserve a 2 on the title, but that's something that I think Blizzard did with flying colors. And I think if they transition that energy into this story campaign, there's a good chance we can fall in love with these characters all over again in a way that we never could before. While we're not going to get the 50 talents and Junkrat getting akimbo grenade launchers like I wish I could have, we might get an actual story in Overwatch. And the weird thing with Overwatch is like everyone has faith in the universe, but we don't have a story. We have little vignettes, which give the impression of a story, but not actually a story. We have backstories. And truth be told, they have been very good, like compared to other games that have characters like this. I don't know the backstory of Dota characters. Think of all the cinematics throughout the years. This has not been a weak point for Blizzard. The weak point was actually making the story in full. But the pieces of it are very promising. Whether it was the old Calling All Heroes Recall trailer that was before the game's launch, the Bastion origin story put a tear into my eye. A lot of people like the Reinhardt one. The Shimada Brothers Dragons maybe is the most popular last time I checked. And heck, even the Overwatch 2 announcement trailer at BlizzCon 2019 had people in tears. People want to see these heroes do the hero thing. When I try to explain Overwatch to people who've never heard of it before, I usually say it's a shooter game, but with characters like the Avengers. Now, I don't actually like the Avengers movies or Marvel movies in general, but I have an investment with the Overwatch characters. I like all of them almost. And I think getting actual good gameplay to develop their rich backstories could get us invested in these characters in a way that we weren't before. While the RPG is weak, a lot of times in RPG games, the story is weak. And I think this is an opportunity for Blizzard to actually impress us and gain some new fans. There is a limitation to this because players that are never going to touch PvP probably won't be coming in droves, but we may lure some new PvP players with this bit of campaign we're getting every few seasons. Because while this is a downgrade from the massive promises from 2019, it's an upgrade in comparison to other free-to-play games. Now, my next point on how I think they could surpass expectations is by having fun gameplay. While the talents and RPG progression is a chunk that we will now be missing, even I have to admit, as much as I disliked playing the Star Watch event, which was painful to play due to the lack of polish and how many missed opportunities of potential it had, I have to admit it's just fun to play the Overwatch characters. Their kits feel great to play, and oftentimes the fun factor of playing those heroes can be thwarted by the difficulty of the game going up against other players. While we've got a few like small campaign and a little bit of horde in the years of Overwatch, we've never had like a full campaign experience. Archives is the best thing we've had, and even that was like a rink-a-dink mode, more of a proof of concept. And we forget because those are so many years ago and a lot of players didn't keep replaying them when they came back out, but those are pretty decent. I mean, they're way better than Star Watch in my opinion, and a full campaign mission like that, I think players are gonna like. It kind of got overlooked in the big Doomsday live stream, but Jared said that they've got some really cool enemy types to fight against. Having AI with good mechanics could really secure the fun factor of this gameplay, and while we're not going to get 50 versions of the same character, if you can play a few different ones, there's still some replayability in having multiple characters being usable in a given mission. That adds some replayability, even if it isn't endlessly replayable. But I started to feel this even in the Star Watch event, a mode I didn't like very much. Trying to figure out, okay, Torbjorn's good at whittling down the turrets and holding an anchor position for your teammates to return to when they need to get revived. Figuring out that meta of how to go against the PvE light, I found interesting, even if he didn't have a bunch of new mechanics. And I think if the enemies are fun to fight, the story mode could surpass expectations. And my last and final point for optimism for the new version of PvE that we are getting is now with the new distribution model, they can adjust accordingly. I know a lot of gamers shudder at the idea of getting a piecemeal campaign from every few months, but I'm open-minded to it. Mainly because for me personally, I struggle to finish an entire AAA 40-hour game anyway. I just don't even really play games like that because I don't have time. I like smaller games or multiplayer games competitively, typically. So this is kind of up my alley personally, but also I've watched plenty of shows both in the binge format where it's all out and you can watch as much as you want, but I've also enjoyed keeping up with a show as it's going. And if we have a decent story, I think that can hold it together. It's not gonna be like watching Game of Thrones or Succession while it's live, I'm sure, because it ain't gonna be that deep, but if it's good enough, you could be anticipating the next big drop or little drop. And in the meantime, they can make adjustments based on the feedback they get. A positive aspect that Aaron Keller said in the live stream was that this new distribution model allows them to have variety and offer a lot of different types of things as opposed to needing to have everything be in a complete whole at once. That means we can get different types of missions in the corresponding seasons, have it thematically jump all over the place, different timelines. They have a lot of flexibility to put it in different stages and maybe shelf an idea if it's pretty obvious it needs more work. As much as I'm really mad at the manipulation of the media message, waiting this long to explain to us the real scope of what Overwatch 2 even is, that wasn't cool. Overall, I'm pretty happy with what they've done with Overwatch 2 since it's been out. It's not like there's big gaps in their game, other than just needing another game in the game, like they said they would, you know, but thanks to the PvP, between the update cadence, eventually getting balance in a reasonable state, these devs have done a good job. So it kind of sucks that we have to hate them right now for making a very difficult decision. We're past that point, and as fans of the game, as long as we erase from our minds the original expectations, which let's just categorize as a pipe dream, this new free-to-play game route isn't so bad. And at the moment, while I am sad that we're not going to gain a dedicated separate game and separate fan base, that's not really what Overwatch 2 is ever going to be. The upside is, as a product, we have a competitive advantage against other games that don't have any story mode at all. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you agree with me and that we're at a much more optimistic place than a lot of people seem to think, let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos come out. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.